Okay, this is an area in the far northwest corner of my property. Told it's a dry maple hop hornbeam natural community. We did see some storm damage in here a few years back. I'm in the middle of doing a crop tree and mast tree release here. About 3 acres, where you see pink flags like this one. That's the boundary of the 3-acre area that was marked. Occasionally you'll see, I'm not sure if you can see it in this, but you'll see a green ribbon tied around a tree. That's one of the target trees for crop tree release. And then way back in there, you might be able to see a little red blotch on that black birch. That's one of the trees to take out to free up the crop trees. You'll notice I've left the ground pretty messy in here. Some of that will be taken from firewood. A lot of it will be left just to rot on the forest floor, provide habitat and return nutrients to the floor. Some people might not like that messy look, but it does make great wildlife habitat. So one of the goals here is to increase species diversity. This crop tree, not particularly good form, but it's a sugar maple, and there's not a whole lot of them in here. At least I think it's a sugar maple. Not a whole lot of them in here. So that was targeted to save and release. So the bigger tree marked as a crop tree on the left is a poplar. There's not a lot of them in this chunk of the woods, so that one was left. You'll also see in some parts of the woods trees marked with a red X. Those are trees I'm supposed to take down and leave on the forest floor to rot. In fact, I'm leaving more than just what's marked with the X, but there are a few that were targeted for that. These are just some logs waiting to be pulled out for firewood. The birch there is actually for a friend of mine who's a wood turner. We took a walk through and he picked out some logs he was interested in, and birch was one of them. So that'll go over to his place once I'm done pulling it out of here. This part will be old hat to any of you who have used a logging winch on a tractor, but some of you may find it interesting. This is a New Holland TC33D tractor. It's a little over 20 years old now, and a Uniforest 35E logging winch. That winch will pull 7,700 pounds. What I'm doing here is pulling out another piece of birch log. So the cable runs out, goes around a dog leg with a snatch block, which I'll show you in just a second here. So here's the birch log that my wood turning friend is after. This one's about a 13-inch diameter. The butt log, which I already pulled out, is a little bit bigger than that. The log, you can see I've hooked the choker around the back side of the log from where I'm pulling. The idea is that as I pull, this will tighten up on the log and pull, hopefully starting by rolling the log sideways to get it up over that little hump rather than trying to drag it straight through the hump. So that cable is attached to the snatch block, which you can see hanging from the big stump there. So it needs to go up to that stump. Once it gets to the snatch block, it's a self-releasing block, so the cable will pop out automatically and then go around the corner here and drag straight out to my tractor. Self-releasing snatch block is an interesting gizmo. It's just hooked around the stump with a strap. The idea is that as I start pulling with the tractor, eventually the end of the cable or the slider that the log is hooked on will ride up here and it will hit this trigger, releasing it. After it releases, the cable will just pop off. So I don't have to walk back over here once I've pulled the log up to this point. It'll pop off, the log will then change directions rather than pulling toward the stump and just pull towards my tractor. Normally, I leave the snatch block facing down. I have better luck with the cable releasing and not getting fouled. I just left it up on this one just to show the mechanism. There's my snatch block flipped back facing down. From there, the cable runs towards my tractor. You'll notice one more log here with a choker on it. This one's just going for firewood. And that choker is attached to another slider on the cable. So when the birch log comes up at the end of the cable and hits that slider, it will drag that along and hopefully, if all goes as planned, pull both of them right up to the back of the tractor. Here is down along the cable, looking back along the cable. Down to, you can't hard to see the big stump through the brush there. And then the dog leg that takes you over to the birch that I'm trying to pull out. Once the tractor is running, it may be a little harder to hear me. And the camera work will probably get kind of shaky since it's hard to run the winch with one hand and hold the camera with the other. Okay, now we're giving it a shot. I've got the winch choked up, engaging the winch. You can see that log moving towards the stump. And it just released, turned the corner. Now it's pulling straight towards me. And there's the second log. Pulling right up the back of the tractor. And that's it.